Marcus Rivers stared at the dating app notification glowing on his phone, wondering if sleep deprivation had finally gotten the better of him. Star-crossed dating, where destinies align across the cosmos. He couldn't remember downloading it, yet there it was, its interface shimmer with an otherworldly iridescence that seemed to defy his phone's display capabilities. The message that had woken him at 3 a.m. was simple: your perfect match awaits. Compatibility, 99.9%. Location, the Starlight Cafe, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Marcus ran a hand through his disheveled dark hair, his reflection in the bedroom window looking as skeptical as he felt. As a software engineer at a prestigious tech firm, he should have been more cautious about mysterious apps appearing on his phone. Yet something about this one felt different, almost as if it was calling to him on a frequency he couldn't quite understand. The next evening found him standing outside the Starlight Cafe, a place he'd passed 100 times but never noticed before. The building seemed to exist in its own pocket of reality, its Art Deco facade catching the dying sunlight in impossible ways. A gentle breeze carried the mingled scents of jasmine and stardust, though Marcus quickly dismissed the latter as his imagination running wild. He pushed open the door, its crystal chimes singing a melody that made his skin tingle. The interior was a masterpiece of ambient lighting and geometric patterns, with tables that appeared to float on pillars of light. A few patrons sat scattered throughout, their features oddly indistinct in the atmospheric lighting. "Mr. Rivers?" A voice like liquid moonlight drew his attention to the hostess stand. The woman there wore what appeared to be a simple black dress, but the fabric seemed to ripple with constellations when she moved. "Your date is already seated. Please, follow me." Marcus followed, his heart thundering in his chest. The hostess led him to a secluded corner where a woman sat waiting. As he approached, his breath caught in his throat. She was stunning in a way that defied conventional beauty. Her hair cascaded down her back in waves that seemed to capture and release light with each movement, its color shifting between platinum and something he had no name for. Her eyes, when they met his, were the deep violet of twilight skies. "Hello, Marcus," she said, her voice carrying traces of an accent he couldn't place. "I'm Astrid. Please, sit." He slid into the chair across from her, noting how the air around them seemed to hum with an electric charge. "I have to admit," he said, struggling to maintain his composure, "I don't remember downloading Starcross." Astrid's lips curved into a smile that seemed to hold secrets of distant nebulae. "Sometimes the best connections find us when we're not looking for them. Would you like to order a drink?" Marcus glanced at the menu hovering above their table, actually hovering, he realized with a start. The text seemed to rearrange itself as he watched, settling into familiar English from what had momentarily appeared to be flowing symbols. Yes, I would." He ordered something called a celestial sunrise, more because he was fascinated by its description than any real thirst. As they waited for their drinks, Astrid asked him about his work, showing an uncanny understanding of quantum computing that both impressed and unnerved him. Her questions were precise, almost too precise, as if she was collecting data rather than making small talk. "Your work in quantum encryption must be fascinating," she said, her fingers tracing patterns on the tablecloth that seemed to leave momentary trails of light. "Especially given the potential applications for secure communications across vast distances." Marcus leaned forward, intrigued despite his growing suspicion that this was more than a regular date. "It is, but it's also highly classified." "How did you know about that project?" Their drinks arrived before she could answer, his celestial sunrise shifting colors like a nebula in a glass, while hers appeared to be pure starlight in liquid form. As she lifted her glass, the sleeve of her dress slipped slightly, revealing skin that seemed to shimmer with an internal luminescence. "Marcus," she said, her voice taking on a more serious tone, "what if I told you that your work has attracted attention far beyond your government's classification levels? That there are those who see in you the potential for something greater than earthbound achievements?" The way she said "earthbound" sent a shiver down his spine. The cafe's ambient noise seemed to fade away, leaving them in a bubble of private reality. I'd say that sounds like either the best pickup line I've ever heard or something that should make me very nervous. Astrid laughed, the sound like crystal wind chimes in a stellar breeze. Perhaps both? The universe is full of possibilities, Marcus Rivers. Some of them are sitting right across from you, waiting to see if you're ready to embrace them. As if to emphasize her point, she raised her hand to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear, an ear that, for just a moment, seemed to taper to an elegant point before shimmer back to a more human appearance. Marcus caught the brief display and felt his world tilt slightly on its axis. "You're not." He began, then stopped, unsure how to finish that sentence without sounding crazy. "Human?" Astrid completed his thought, her twilight eyes now holding galaxies of possibility. "No, I'm not. And this isn't just a date, Marcus. It's an invitation to something far more extraordinary than either of our species could achieve alone." Marcus took a long drink from his color-shifting glass, buying time to process this revelation. The liquid tasted like sunlight and possibilities, warming him from the inside out. When he set the glass down, he found himself feeling remarkably calm, as if he'd been waiting for this moment without knowing it. "So," he said, surprising himself with his steadiness, "tell me more about these possibilities." Astrid's smile broadened, and for a moment, her true form seemed to shine through, a being of light and energy barely contained in human shape. "First," she said, "let me tell you about my world, and why you, specifically, caught our attention. Then we can discuss what it means to bridge the gap between stars and hearts." As she began her tale, Marcus felt reality reshape itself around him, knowing that whatever happened next would change not just his life, but potentially the course of human-alien relations forever. The mysterious dating app on his phone now seemed less like a glitch and more like destiny, though whether that destiny would lead to romance, scientific breakthrough, or interstellar incident remained to be seen. The night stretched ahead of them, full of stories and revelations, while outside the Starlight Cafe, the real stars wheeled overhead, witnesses to a meeting that would soon reshape two worlds. 3 days after their initial meeting at the Starlight Cafe, Marcus found himself in a sleek elevator ascending the Lunar Tower, the city's newest and most mysterious skyscraper. Astrid had invited him to her temporary Earth residence, though the building itself seemed to defy terrestrial architecture. The glass walls of the elevator revealed the sprawling cityscape below, but something about the view seemed slightly off, as if he was seeing it through a filter that revealed more than normal human vision allowed. The elevator chimed in a melody that made his teeth tingle, and the doors opened directly into Astrid's apartment. Marcus stepped out and immediately froze. The space before him was simultaneously an apartment and what appeared to be a slice of an alien world. The walls shifted between solid matter and transparent views of what looked like another planet's landscape, crystal spires rising into a purple sky with 3 moons hanging low on the horizon. "Welcome to my humble Earth dwelling," Astrid's voice came from somewhere within. She emerged from what appeared to be a garden of bioluminescent plants, her true form more evident in this private space. Her skin held a subtle iridescence, and her hair floated as if suspended in an invisible current. "I thought it was time you saw a bit more of who I really am." Marcus found his voice, though it came out shakier than he intended. "Your world, it's beautiful." "That's Luminara," she said, gesturing to the shifting views around them. "My homeworld. The apartment exists in what we call a quantum fold, a space that touches both Earth and my world. It helps me maintain my connection to home while I'm here." She guided him to what appeared to be a sitting area, though the furniture seemed to grow from the floor itself, shifting to accommodate their forms perfectly. A table between them materialized, bearing what looked like Earth tea served in cups that seemed to be made of living crystal. "I imagine you have questions," Astrid said, her twilight eyes studying him intently. Marcus laughed softly, picking up one of the crystal cups. "Only about 1 million. Let's start with the obvious, why me? And why a dating app of all things? Astrid's expression softened. My people have been observing Earth for centuries, but it wasn't until recently that we decided to attempt more personal connections. Your work in quantum encryption accidentally brushed against technology we use for interstellar communication. When we investigated, we found something fascinating. Your algorithms were independently developing along lines similar to our own early communication systems. She paused, taking a sip from her cup. The liquid within seemed to glow faintly. As for the dating app approach, we've learned that humans tend to respond better to personal connections than official contact. There are others like me, meeting others like you. We call it the Stellar Integration Program. So this is all just diplomatic research? Marcus tried to keep the disappointment from his voice, but Astrid caught it immediately. No, she said firmly, reaching across to touch his hand. Her skin was warm, sending little sparks of energy through his nervous system. The program matches us based on genuine compatibility. My interest in you is both professional and deeply personal. On my world, we believe in the convergence of purpose and passion. As if to demonstrate, she let her human disguise fade completely. Her true form was breathtaking, her skin now openly shimmering with patterns that reminded Marcus of star charts, her hair a flowing cascade of energy that responded to her emotions. Her eyes remained the same twilight violet, but now they held visible depths that seemed to go on forever. This is me, Marcus. A scientist, a diplomat, and someone who finds herself increasingly drawn to a human who sees patterns in the quantum foam that even some of my people miss. Marcus realized he was still holding her hand, and that he hadn't flinched when she revealed her true form. Something about it felt right, as if he'd been waiting all his life to see someone like her. The patterns are beautiful, he said softly. Both in the quantum realm and here. Astrid's free hand traced symbols in the air, leaving trails of light that formed complex equations. These are from your latest paper, the one you're still writing. You're closer than you know to cracking interstellar communication. That's part of why I'm here. We want to help guide Earth toward the cosmic community, but it has to be your own achievement. We can't simply give you the answers. And the other part? Marcus asked, his heart racing as the symbols danced around them. Astrid's smile held both mystery and promise. The other part is more complicated. My people believe in something we call stellar resonance, the idea that certain souls harmonize across species, across space itself. When we detected your quantum patterns, we also detected something else, a resonance that matched my own in ways that our scientists are still trying to understand. She stood, drawing him up with her, and led him to a window that seemed to open directly onto the surface of Luminera. Crystal cities floated in the sky, connected by bridges of light. Gardens of impossible plants spiraled up toward the triple moons. This could be your view too, someday. If you want it to be. Marcus watched as a ship that looked like flowing quicksilver navigated between the crystal spires. Are you offering me a job, or something more? Both, Astrid said, turning to face him. My people are proposing a joint research initiative into quantum communications. And I. She paused, her form shimmer ing with what he now recognized as emotion. I am proposing that we explore this resonance between us. Not as a diplomatic mission, but as two beings who might have found something rare in an infinite universe. The air around them seemed to pulse with potential, and Marcus realized that every scientific breakthrough he'd ever made had been leading him to this moment. The patterns in the quantum foam, the mysterious app, the impossible woman beside him, it all formed a constellation of purpose and possibility. I think, he said carefully, that I'd like to explore both of those proposals. Astrid's joy manifested as a cascade of light that briefly illuminated the entire apartment. She leaned closer, her energy field intermingling with his aura in a way that felt like every love song ever written. Then let me show you how my people seal such agreements. As she drew him into what would become their first real kiss, Marcus had a fleeting thought that his life had become the sort of story no one would believe. But with Astrid's energy encompassing him, with the view of two worlds stretching out before them, he found that he didn't care about believability. He only cared about what came next. Marcus adjusted his tie for the 5th time, staring at his reflection in the quantum-enhanced mirror of Astrid's apartment. The suit she had provided him with seemed to shift subtly as he moved, its fabric incorporating what she called adaptive camouflage, necessary for tonight's gathering of interplanetary diplomats. "You look perfect," Astrid said, emerging from her dressing chamber. She wore what appeared to be flowing liquid starlight, her true form barely contained within the semi-corporeal dress. "Though you're radiating enough anxiety to disrupt local quantum fields. Can you blame me?" Marcus asked, turning to face her. "I'm about to attend a secret diplomatic reception where I'll be one of only 3 humans present. And apparently, our relationship is going to be a major topic of discussion." The past week had been a crash course in interstellar politics. After their revelation-filled evening in the quantum-folded apartment, Astrid had explained that their growing relationship had attracted attention from the Galactic Diplomatic Council. Their connection represented more than just a romance, it was being viewed as a test case for deeper human-alien integration. Astrid moved to him, her presence immediately calming the quantum fluctuations he'd been unconsciously generating. "Remember," she said, straightening his tie with fingers that sparkled with starlight, "you're not just there as my partner. You're there as Earth's leading expert in quantum encryption. Your insights are valuable in their own right." The elevator ride to the top of the lunar tower was different this time. The car seemed to phase through multiple dimensions before opening onto a vast chamber that couldn't possibly fit within the building's physical dimensions. The space was filled with beings of various forms, some humanoid, others decidedly not. Light creatures floated near energy constructs, while beings that seemed to be living crystals engaged in silent communion. "Astrid!" A voice like chiming bells called out. A figure that appeared to be made of aurora borealis floated toward them. And this must be Marcus Rivers. The being shifted into a more humanoid form, though its surface continued to ripple with colored lights. "I am Zephyr, Chief Liaison of the Integration Committee." Marcus bowed slightly, remembering Astrid's coaching. "An honor to meet you, Chief Liaison." Such formality. Zephyr's form rippled with what Marcus interpreted as amusement. "Please, we're all friends here. Though I must say, your quantum signature is fascinating." "Astrid, you didn't mention he was already developing a natural resonance field." Astrid's hand found Marcus's, their energies intertwining visibly. "It's been developing rapidly since we began spending time together. The harmonics are unlike anything in our previous studies." More delegates approached, each curious about the human who had accidentally stumbled onto quantum communication principles that paralleled their own technologies. Marcus found himself engaged in deep technical discussions, explaining his theories while learning about technologies that made his most advanced ideas seem primitive. "Your approach to quantum entanglement is quite innovative," said a being that appeared as a complex mathematical equation given form. "Though have you considered applying nonlinear temporal mechanics?" Before Marcus could admit he hadn't known temporal mechanics could be nonlinear, a commotion near the chamber's center drew everyone's attention. A group of stern-looking crystalline beings had arrived, their forms radiating disapproval. "The conservators," Astrid whispered, her grip on Marcus's hand tightening. "They oppose any form of interspecies integration." The leader of the crystalline group approached, its faceted surface refracting light in patterns that felt somehow hostile. "So this is the human who has caused such disruption to our careful plans for Earth's development." Its voice was like grinding glass. "Do you realize what damage your premature exposure to our existence could cause?" Marcus felt Astrid tense beside him, but before she could speak, he found himself stepping forward. "With respect," he said, surprised by his own steadiness, "Earth's development isn't something that should be controlled from afar. We're ready for this knowledge, ready for true cooperation and exchange." Bold words from a species that still fights among itself, the conservator retorted. Yes, we do, Marcus acknowledged. But we also love across boundaries, solve impossible problems, and dream bigger than our current capabilities. Every advancement in human history has come from people willing to reach beyond what others thought possible. The air in the chamber grew charged with energy as more delegates gathered to listen. Marcus continued, drawing on everything he'd learned about both quantum science and love in the past weeks. Look at what Astrid and I have discovered already. Our resonance field suggests possibilities that neither of our species had considered. Imagine what we could achieve with open cooperation instead of careful control. Zephyr floated forward, its aurora form brightening. The human speaks wisdom. The unexpected harmony between him and Astrid has already yielded valuable insights into cross-species quantum entanglement. And more importantly, Astrid added, moving to stand beside Marcus, her form glowing with fierce pride, it proves that true connection transcends all our careful categories and controls. The conservator's crystalline form vibrated with what might have been frustration. You would risk centuries of careful observation and planning for romance? For progress, Marcus corrected. For the kind of breakthrough that only comes when different perspectives combine in unexpected ways. Your careful planning didn't predict me stumbling onto your quantum communication principles, did it? Sometimes the best discoveries come from embracing the unexpected. The chamber filled with murmurs of agreement from various delegates. Even some of the other conservators seemed to be vibrating at a more contemplative frequency. Zephyr's form expanded with apparent joy. I believe we are witnessing exactly why the integration program was created. Not just for diplomatic relations, but for genuine growth and discovery. The lead conservator drew back slightly, its crystalline surface settling into a less hostile pattern. We will consider your words. But know that you will be watched closely. As the crystalline group withdrew, other delegates surged forward, eager to discuss both the political implications and the scientific possibilities that Marcus and Astrid represented. The rest of the evening became a blur of fascinating conversations and demonstrations of technologies that challenged his understanding of reality itself. Later, as they stood on a balcony that seemed to exist between dimensions, Astrid turned to Marcus. You surprised everyone tonight. Including me. Good surprised? Her form shimmered with affection. Very good. You showed them something they needed to see, that humanity's greatest strength isn't your technology or your scientific understanding, but your ability to adapt, to connect, to see possibilities where others see only problems. Marcus looked out at the view, which showed both the city below and what appeared to be several other worlds simultaneously. I meant what I said in there. About embracing the unexpected. Meeting you, it's changed everything I thought I knew about the universe. The feeling is mutual, Astrid said, her form beginning to glow with that now familiar warmth that preceded their most intimate moments. Though I should warn you, tonight's events mean our relationship is now officially part of galactic diplomatic record. Marcus laughed, pulling her closer. Well, no pressure then. Just the future of human-alien relations resting on our dating life. As their energies merged under the light of countless stars from multiple dimensions, both knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they had already proven that love could indeed transcend the boundaries of worlds. The headline blazed across Marcus's phone, leaked, Secret Alien-Human Relations Program Exposed. His heart sank as he scrolled through the article, complete with blurry photos of the diplomatic reception and speculation about alien infiltration. Someone had managed to breach the quantum security protocols and expose everything. It was bound to happen eventually, Astrid said quietly. She stood by the window of their quantum-folded apartment, her form flickering between human appearance and her natural state as she processed her own anxiety. Though the conservators will certainly use this as evidence that Earth wasn't ready. Marcus's phone buzzed continuously with messages from family, friends, and increasingly persistent journalists. His mother's text was particularly pointed. When you said you were seeing someone different, I didn't think you meant from another planet. Call me. My superiors at the research facility are demanding answers, Marcus said, running a hand through his disheveled hair. Apparently, some of our government officials are claiming they had no knowledge of the integration program. They're calling for investigations. Astrid's form shimmered with concern. The Galactic Council is similarly agitated. Some factions are pushing for an immediate withdrawal from Earth, arguing that this exposure threatens centuries of careful observation. Before Marcus could respond, a new message popped up on his phone, from his best friend Thomas. Dude, there are protesters gathering outside Lunar Tower. Some are supporters, but others, it's getting ugly. Stay safe. A quick glance out the window confirmed Thomas's warning. The street below was filling with people carrying signs. Some read, "Welcome our star friends," and "Love knows no planetary bounds," but others displayed more hostile messages, "Earth for humans," and "Stop the alien agenda." We need to address this, Marcus said, watching the crowd grow. Hiding will only make it worse. Astrid moved to his side, her energy field brushing against his in what had become their version of a comforting embrace. The Council has strictly forbidden direct public contact. They fear it would only escalate the situation. But that's exactly the problem, Marcus argued. All these fears and conspiracy theories are flourishing because people are facing an unknown. They need to see that this isn't an invasion or infiltration, it's about connection, understanding, growth. A soft chime interrupted them as a communication portal opened in the center of the room. Zephyr's Aurora form materialized, looking unusually subdued. The situation is deteriorating rapidly. Anti-integration protests have broken out in major cities worldwide. The conservators are using this as justification to demand an immediate end to the program. And what about the other couples? Astrid asked. The other human-alien pairs in the program? Many have already been recalled to their home worlds, Zephyr replied, their colors dimming. The Council believes the risk of further exposure is too great. Marcus felt his chest tighten. They want you to leave too, don't they? Before Astrid could answer, another figure emerged through the portal, the lead conservator from the reception, its crystalline form radiating cold authority. Astrid, you are hereby ordered to return to Luminara immediately. The experiment is over. Experiment? Marcus's voice cracked with emotion. Is that all this was? No. Astrid's form flared with intense light, her own anger manifesting as waves of energy that made the room's quantum field fluctuate wildly. What we have is real. What we've discovered together is real. Real or not, the conservator intoned, it has caused exactly the disruption we feared. Look below, humans are already dividing themselves over our existence. Some call for war, others for worship. This is why contact was meant to be gradual, controlled. Because you don't trust us to handle the truth, Marcus said, stepping forward. But look out there again, yes, there are protesters, but there are also supporters. Humans adapting, accepting, hoping for something greater than ourselves. That's who we are too. Zephyr's form rippled thoughtfully. He has a point. And the quantum resonance field between them has grown stronger, not weaker, under stress. The scientific implications alone are not worth the risk of planetary destabilization, the conservator cut in. Astrid, you have 1 hour to conclude your business here and return home. The crystalline being disappeared, leaving Zephyr looking apologetically at the couple. I'll give you some privacy, they said, fading from view. The moment they were alone, Astrid's carefully maintained composure shattered. Her form became pure energy, swirling with the colors of heartbreak. I won't go, she declared. They can't force me to abandon everything we've built. Marcus reached for her, letting her energy flow around and through him. Their quantum resonance field sprang to life, stronger than ever, filling the room with patterns that would have revolutionized physics if any other scientists could have seen them. Then we fight, he said simply. Not with protests or weapons, but with truth. You said your people value data, evidence. Let's give them some. Astrid's form began to stabilize, hope threading through her energy signature. What are you suggesting? A demonstration. Not just for the Council, but for humanity too. Show them what real integration looks like, the scientific advances, yes, but also the personal truth. Show them that love doesn't just cross borders or cultures, but entire star systems. That would violate every protocol. Protocol has already been violated, Marcus pointed out. The secret's out. Now we get to decide how the story ends. Not the Council, not the conservators, not the protesters. Us. As if in response to his words, their resonance field pulsed, creating patterns that began to extend beyond the apartment's quantum fold. Down on the street, protesters on both sides stopped and stared as the sky above Lunar Tower filled with dancing lights that seemed to sing of possibility. Astrid's form shifted, resolving into a perfect blend of her human disguise and her true self, beautiful and alien and somehow more real than either form alone. You know, this could change everything. For both our worlds. Marcus smiled, taking her luminescent hand in his. I'm counting on it. Their decision made, they began to plan how to show both their worlds that the future didn't have to be governed by fear of the unknown, that sometimes the greatest discoveries came from having the courage to love across every boundary the universe could create. The grand hall of the Galactic Council chamber stretched into impossible dimensions, its architecture defying human physics. Marcus stood beside Astrid, their resonance field glowing visible to all, as representatives from 100 worlds debated their fate, and by extension, the fate of human-alien relations. 3 days had passed since their decision to go public. Their demonstration had been spectacular, a controlled display of their quantum resonance field that had transformed the sky above every major city on Earth into a canvas of mathematical beauty. The patterns they'd created had contained within them the solutions to several fundamental physics problems that had stumped humanity for centuries. The data is undeniable, Zephyr was saying, their aurora form expanded to project the relevant measurements. The quantum resonance field generated by their connection has properties we've never seen before. The mathematical implications alone could advance our understanding of cross-species consciousness by decades. The lead conservator's crystalline form pulsed with skepticism. And what of the chaos their revelation has caused? Earth's societies are in turmoil. Are we? Marcus stepped forward, his quantum-enhanced suit allowing him to project his own data. Global surveys show that 63% of Earth's population has responded positively to the revelation of alien life. Scientific institutions worldwide are collaborating like never before, sharing data and resources to better understand the possibilities of human-alien cooperation. And the remaining 37%, another council member challenged. Are scared, Astrid answered, her form radiating calm conviction. As anyone would be when their understanding of the universe expands so suddenly. But fear can be overcome with understanding. Marcus and I are proof of that. She gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic displays showing scenes from Earth, children drawing pictures of friendly aliens, scientists excitedly discussing new possibilities, couples of all kinds holding signs supporting love across all boundaries. More importantly, Marcus continued, our connection has proven that genuine integration is possible. Not just diplomatically or scientifically, but personally. Deeply. Real understanding comes from real connection. The chamber erupted in overlapping discussions in 1,000 alien languages. Marcus felt Astrid's energy field pulse against his. She was nervous, but hopeful. They had spent days preparing for this moment, knowing it would determine not just their future, but potentially the future of human-alien relations for generations to come. Finally, a new figure emerged from the council, a being of pure light that Marcus recognized as one of the elder members. We have observed something remarkable here, the elder's thoughts resonated directly in everyone's minds. Not just in the quantum phenomena, but in the courage to challenge our assumptions. The elder moved closer, studying the resonance field between Marcus and Astrid. For millennia, we have debated the proper way to introduce ourselves to developing civilizations. We created protocols, established boundaries, moved with careful deliberation. Yet here, through what some might call chance, or perhaps something deeper, we have stumbled upon a new possibility. A dangerous possibility, the lead conservator interjected. All growth involves risk, the elder responded. But consider, through this one connection, humanity has already begun adapting to our existence. Their response, while mixed, has shown remarkable resilience and potential. And the scientific discoveries emerging from their quantum resonance fields suggest benefits we had not anticipated. The chamber fell silent as the elder turned to directly address Marcus and Astrid. We would propose a compromise. Not a retreat, but not unrestricted contact either. Instead, a new program, one that uses your example as a model for gradual, meaningful integration between our peoples. Astrid's form brightened with hope. What exactly are you suggesting? A cultural and scientific exchange initiative, the elder explained. Starting with the existing human-alien pairs from the integration program, but expanding thoughtfully. Each connection carefully chosen, like yours was, for maximum resonance potential. We would proceed slowly, but openly now that the truth is known. And us? Marcus asked, his hand finding Astrid's, their resonance field flaring with the contact. The elder's light seemed to warm. You would be the program's first success story, and its guides. Your experience, both the challenges and triumphs, would help us understand how to better facilitate such connections. There would need to be safeguards, the lead conservator added, its tone less hostile than before. Protocols for cultural preservation, scientific ethics. Of course, Astrid agreed. But protocols that encourage growth rather than just prevent problems. We've learned that the best safeguard is understanding, real, personal understanding. Marcus felt a surge of emotion through their resonance field as Astrid turned to face him. Speaking of personal understanding, she said, her form shifting to that perfect blend of human and alien that he had come to love so deeply, there's something I haven't told you yet. The resonance field between them pulsed with new patterns, and Marcus's eyes widened as he interpreted them. Is that, are you saying? Astrid's form glowed with joy. Our quantum resonance field has created something unprecedented. A true fusion of our species, growing within me. The first of its kind. The chamber erupted again, but Marcus barely heard it. He was too focused on the mathematical poetry written in the energy patterns between them, patterns that spoke of new life, of possibilities never before imagined. The elder's light expanded, enveloping them all. Then it is decided. Your child will be born into a universe of new connections, new understandings. A living symbol of what we can achieve and we dare to reach across the stars. As the council chamber filled with light from 1,000 worlds, Marcus and Astrid's resonance field expanded, touching everything and everyone present. In its patterns, they could all see a future where boundaries between species were not walls but doorways, where difference was not a source of fear but of endless fascination. Their love story had become something larger, not just a tale of two beings from different worlds, but a blueprint for a future where the very concept of alien might fade away, replaced by an understanding that across all the vast cosmos, connection was the truest constant of all. And in the quantum dance between them, in the new life taking shape through impossible science and improbable love, they had proven that the universe's greatest discoveries often came not from careful planning, but from having the courage to let your heart lead you beyond the boundaries of everything you thought you knew.